live on both Twitch and on Facebook. I am just going to double check the Facebook real quickly since I'm doing two things at once. You can't be too sure of anything in technology these days. But I'm joined today, as always, by Anna and Gil. To the blue liner on point and AnnaK. They're both part of the Power Play Point podcast, and we've got a special hockey roundtable to discuss with them today. We also, if you can see on our Twitch feed, which I know you can't see on Facebook, we've got a live scoreboard on top as well. So we are watching a live game with the Wizards and the Timberwolves, and right now the Wizards are up 133 to 111, which is great because they had lost all their previous games this week. And I really didn't want to talk about we did that last week with the Capitals. It wasn't particularly fun. So I was kind of hoping to at least get a win, even if it's not technically last week, at least it's on this show. So, and a live win is always exciting too. So again, just under 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So we'll start with a hockey roundtable. We will bring in some football guests, actually. I believe Dugenais and Champ are going to be talking about the big win. We got over Atlanta. That was very, very exciting. And a lot of teams got some big wins this weekend. So we'll talk some football with Dugenais and Champ, and then we will bring in our special Wizards roundtable to recap how this game went, as well as the less fortunate games earlier in the week. And then if there's still time available, I might do a quick scoring recap in the World Cup just to give a standings update and preview that there's a big game tomorrow. It's the last game for Team USA. If they get a win, they advance. So it's a very exciting game. So we'll preview that game. Anna, did you watch any of Team USA soccer? Have you watched any of it?
I have. No,
okay.
I just didn't, chime in as much, but yeah, no, it's very exciting. And it's actually kind of cool because a lot of my students are really into it. So they came in today like, did you watch this game? Did you watch this game? And I think that's so cool. So
it makes me happy that people care about soccer. It is one of the sports we do talk about on this show, but it's not as frequent because it's based on who wants to come on and talk with me about it or who wants to call in to talk about it. And if you ever want to talk soccer, if anybody does, they can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to do it, and we can schedule a segment on any week on the show, even in the summer or whatever. So I'm always happy to talk soccer with them as a former soccer coach. And
did you play as well?
I was that 18th man on the team. I could play a little bit, but I wasn't playing a lot, right? So I actually ended up becoming a manager pretty quickly on. I said, hey, look, I have a pretty good eye for sports and stuff like that. Let me sit and keep stats with you and maybe help coach a little bit. And so they let me be the stats guy in both soccer and basketball. And ultimately, I did actually assist a championship team for our high school soccer team as a coach. So later on, with one of my good friends, one of the very first years I worked at the school I work for. So that's soccer is a fun spot in my heart. I'm happy that people are talking about it as well. So that's exciting. And Gil, did you watch any of Team USA?
Oh yeah. I've been keeping up very, very strongly, very strictly with the World Cup. It's one of my favorite international sporting events, probably even more so than the Olympics. So yeah, I've been watching actually all the matches, as many as I can. Some of the early ones, unfortunately, I don't get to catch, the ones that are at 5 in the bloody morning, but the others, especially Team USA and all of the, as I explain to people all the time, all of the countries of my heritage, I catch those games too. Ireland, who didn't qualify, Scotland, who also didn't qualify, unfortunately, Germany, the Netherlands, and of course the Republic of Korea, who unfortunately didn't have a great game, although they staged a great comeback. But but I've been keeping up with it pretty good. I like the effort, love the effort against England, and I can't wait for tomorrow's game.
Let's talk about it real quickly because maybe I won't get time at the end. And I mean, we don't get to talk about the World Cup very often. And the fact that you both actually watch it that's exciting. So it's a big game against Iran. People don't know. We had a good result. We tied against England in a pretty close game. England knew if they tied it, it was kind of a guarantee that they're going to advance. So it was a strategic game for both teams, but it does set up this really exciting game against Iran, who's I think a lot better than a lot of other people give credit for. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be in the afternoon tomorrow on Fox. It's going to be another one of the tough games. So it's going to be at 2:00. Is coverage start at 2 and the game starts at 3, or is it coverage start at 1?
I think coverage is at 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe the game starts at 3. So here, I'm gonna just double check it just so we have the correct thing. But yeah, it's what are your thoughts going into it? I'll start with you, Anna, and then I'll get Gil's thoughts.
I keep freezing. Or am I frozen on your screen?
You're fine on mine. So
okay. Yeah, I hate when it freezes and it's like, do I really look like that? No, I'm excited, and I think it. You want to be like politics aside, but man, I'm loving the support that they're giving Iranian women. But I'm just gonna throw that out there. But the U.S. is, I should say. I'm excited though, and what I like so much about it is not as dramatic as other soccer games in which they really milk those penalties. This is like, nope. And you can even see the ref being like, done, not doing this, move on, kind of thing.
By the way, you were right. The game is at 2. The coverage starts at 1. So
okay.
What's interesting in this round, they don't want other teams to know the results of the other games because it might throw how you would play it, right? You might play to a draw if you know that that's going to win it. So they actually schedule them at the exact same time, which I think is an interesting thing. So Iran will play US exactly at the same time as the Wales plays England, both at 2:00. So I didn't know if people know that, but it is a way to avoid trying to throw a final game or having an advantage playing earlier in the day versus later in the day, which I think is kind of a cool thing. Gil, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, hopping on that the reason why, well, I'm the history guy, so I got to throw this out there. The reason they did that was because of what happened in the 1982 final. Germany, Austria, and Algeria were all in the same first round group, and Algeria upset what was then West Germany, and they fell behind in the standings. And Germany had acquired enough points, but their last game was against Austria, and they were actually leading the group. And they figured out it happened to be the last match in the group. They figured out that if Austria had only lost by 1 goal and no more, they could both advance at Algeria's expense. So what happened was West Germany scored an early goal, and for the rest of the 90 minutes, they spent basically at midfield kicking the ball back and forth and not advancing.
Yeah.
And that's why they schedule the last group matches for the same time. That's why they do it, because of what happened.
Interesting. Yeah, so I think we did lose Anna's camera, but I still see that she's here. So I don't know if she's trying to fix something on her end, but we'll continue to go. And Anna, if you can hear us, you can try to leave and come back and see if that fixes it. But for now, we'll do the 2-man rotation, and then when Anna comes back, we'll bring her back in as well. But thank you guys for breaking some of that World Cup down with me. I actually was able to put up the World Cup logo real quick as well for that segment. So a lot to be excited about. Any final thoughts, Gil, for tomorrow's game?
Well, yeah, I look for the U.S. to come out very, very strong. I think as long as they really go, I sound like I'm talking about the Caps here, but it's the same principle. If they play to win, I think they have a very good chance of winning, as long as they don't sit back and play like they're afraid to lose or afraid to make that mistake. I think if they press the attack just as they did with England, I think they have a very good chance of coming out with the victory. Doesn't matter how many goals they score, they just have to come out ahead, and they know they have to win. There's no other choice. So there's nothing like bringing it down to all one game and you're having to win. They've got a very strong, speedy set of strikers and attackers and forwards that can get the job done. And Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah, look for those guys to be active on the attack. And I think anybody who tunes in is going to be in for an exciting game.
Yeah, I wish I wasn't working during that time, but I'm sure it's gonna be a great game. I am envious of anybody who's not working and can put that on. I'm sure it will be a fantastic match. I'll definitely catch the highlights, and I hope that we're able to find a way to win in advance. And if we do, then we'll continue to talk about them. We still might give little updates here and there on it throughout the next month, and so I think I'm just gonna go, Gil, with you, and we're gonna break down some of these early games, and then whenever Anna can jump back in, we'll bring her back for that. I'm gonna share. Oh, she is back.
I'm
Okay,
here.
there you are. All right.
Go figure, right? It's just like the computer's been fine, and then all of a sudden it's like, just kidding.
It's all good. I'm actually going to let Gil real quickly give a little snapshot of what you guys talked about this week on the Power Play Point podcast while I switch the graphics and share this to a couple of groups to try to get their comments as well.
Sure thing. So we go over our usual breakdown of the 3 games that happened during the week. Thankfully, it was a 2-1 week. Really, the only bad game was the game before the Sunday night or Saturday night game against the Devils. But our feature game, we made the Calgary game where they pretty much dominated the in the 3-0 win. So we go into the most detail, which is our format now to save on time and provide, I think, a better discussion overall of how the Caps are doing. I would just say that the discussion was a lot more positive since it was 2 wins out of 3. So it's hopeful. The tone is optimistic. Maybe, just maybe, the Caps have now started to find their identity, and hopefully in the coming weeks, when they start to get even more personnel back, they'll start to turn things around. But the reality is, unfortunately, they're still under 500, but it's getting better, and that's the overall tone.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope that people go and check that out. I had a very busy day today, but I'll definitely be checking on my drive time. If people want to go check it out themselves, they click the podcast partners button on sportsothp.com and click the Power Play Point podcast. And you can get that latest episode right now or right after this show if you're listening live. And yeah, so let's get into the week that was. Anna, I'll let you break down the games, and Gil and you can break down them a little bit more. Yeah, why don't you start with the first game?
Sounds good. So last Wednesday, we have Caps welcoming the Flyers. First period Flyer score first at 5:27, but 11:05. Here we go. Marcus Johansson scores a power play goal assisted by Obi and Oshie, which is yay Oshie. Second period, Flyers score the only goal, and in the third period, Milano, who's become a favorite of mine, I have to admit, and I think Gil's as well, scores his third assisted by Kuzi and Oshie at 17:02 to tie it up. Going into overtime, the captain scores number 10 at 1:04 for a 3-2 win. Exactly what they needed.
I'm so happy that they got the win. Yeah, it was just well, Gil, I'll let you break it down first, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, this was one of those games where the Caps could easily have gotten down on themselves and decide to chase the game. Well, they were chasing the game, but the 2 goals scored were not exactly Darcy Kemper's finest moments. So we talked about this on the episode. It was, it could have been easily a woe is me moment. And here we go again with the goalies not being their best. First goal was kind of a fluky bounce between Kemper's pads, and the second one, I don't even know how that one got in. That was kind of a crazy deflection. But when that second goal got in, it's just seemed like it could have changed the attitude a little bit. But our boys just kept fighting, and Milano got his tying goal, and he did what I think the Caps should be doing more, in that he charged the net when he scored the goal. I think instead of, and that's going to be the key, is if they do more of that instead of relying on perimeter plays, that's going to be the key to jumpstarting their offense. It's no coincidence that TJ Oshie coming back, his first game in what was it, a dozen games or so? ignited the offense again. That's no coincidence at all. Anybody could figure that out. And his style, which is the same, high slot area, battle in front, put in traffic, and when he gets room, release that lethal shot of his. But also he's a great net front presence. And when you add that to all of the other skill that you have, then it's it's a lethal combination. It's a winning combination. So it's no coincidence that when he came back, they had a chance to win, and they did. That's really what it came down to.
Yeah. I want to give a big shout out to Casey, who's actually in chat on Twitch right now. So he wanted to say hi to you guys as well. He was part of our roundtable on last week's episode. If they missed that, you can go check out episode 290. Yeah, so I appreciate him for joining us in chat. And I do think we talked about this, I feel like last week, where I said we're missing 4 key components, and any 1 or 2 of them back could make a huge difference. And one of them, obviously, we want Tom Wilson back, but Oshie is a heart and soul player, and as Gil, as you were saying, I really think that his presence was felt, and it was the lift they needed, because both teams were very desperate. Neither had won in a long time. It looked for a long time like Philly's desperation level was a little higher than the Capitals, but the Capitals were able to with a big one. We call him the Cookie Monster now, Milano. So the Cookie Monster was able to save our bacon, right, and tie the game 2-2, and Ovechkin came through, as he always does. I mean, it's just incredible. Gil, what do you think it is? How can he have so many overtime goals, but never once in the playoffs? That stat still astounds me.
I don't know. That definitely boggles the mind. I think one of these days he will break through and get an overtime goal, and I keep thinking that when he does, it'll be in a game 7 or perhaps in another final series, hopefully, and that hockey karma will do its thing when that happens. But
it's
25
times.
25 times he's done
it.
And
but he's gonna have to do something totally different, because I think it's like they're just on him. They got his number, no pun intended, but it's expected. They know. So I think that he's just gonna have to do something. I don't even know what he could do, because everything seems to be quite fantastic. But he's just gonna have to do something different.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the next game, but he's definitely inspired a lot of the players on our team. It must be so cool for them to watch them growing up and see him do these incredible plays and then get to play with him. Like, we've heard these stories time and times, but one of the guys that I want to talk about is Kuzi, right? Because Kuzi is another player who's not been playing up to what we need him to do, especially with so many people being injured. But his goal in this next game reminded me so much of an Ovechkin goal, just the sliding on his butt and scooping it in. You got to imagine that Kuzi saw that as a young kid growing up and was like, I want to grow up to be like that guy. And he gets to play with him and watch how he does it. And you just see the TJ Oshie and Kuzi and Ovi, when they play to their game.
Yeah,
it's a different team than we saw last week. And having Oshie be a part of it is a huge thing. But
and what's going to change for Kuzi's game with the big helmet? Have you seen that?
Yeah. But I love his shootout thing. I kind of want him to teach everybody on the team to touch it a million times and then fling it up there. I don't know why that works, but it's freaking brilliant. I know Gil hates the shoot.
It's kind of funny. We're going back to the World Cup a bit. The Portugal Uruguay game today. The Portugal's second goal was on a penalty kick, and the guy who took the penalty kick, he did this stutter step that reminded me exactly of what Kuzi does in his move in the shootout, when he just taps his stick. He does the 50 deeks or whatever it is with his stick handling before he shoots. He did the stutter step before he got to the ball. It must have been 5, 6, 7 steps he took to confuse the goalie, and it reminded me exactly of what Kuzi does during the shootout. So it's awesome that, in a lot of ways, hockey and soccer kind of tie to each other. But not to steal Anna's thunder a bit, but what you guys have been talking about, especially you, Robbie, just now, with Oshie's injection back to the lineup and that kind of shot in the arm. Anna makes a point just about every episode of when the Caps are happy and showing it and loving playing hockey and loving what they do, having fun. Yes, that's the phrase. When they are out there doing that, and it shows, they are at their best. And again, you could tell that with Oshie back in the lineup, it was like, I mean, I hate to use a tired, overused phrase, but a breath of fresh air.
Fresh air. Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. And you
could tell in the locker room shots that they were showing, and there's just something about his vibe and his just everything about him that's what that team needed at that moment. Not to say that they didn't have it before, but they needed him to come back and like I think it was I must have been listening to it, Joby and Locker were saying that they're surprised the amount of energy he has just in the warm-ups, and that he's not exhausted at all once the game starts. Like once the puck drops, like he's still got all that energy. That it just has to be absolutely infectious, and that's just what they needed, and it came out. And I think this Flyers game was fun, and it just got better in Calgary when they play Calgary.
I want to give a lot of people shout outs. So many people are tuning in all over. We had a raid just now on Twitch, and so I appreciate JXO, somebody I mod for raiding in, and Cover Time Pete for joining chat. We've got Andy and Carly, and my dad's even in there, so it's a full group over there. And then I want to give a shout out over on Facebook because Eric and Cheryl Ann are chatting over there. So I appreciate them for getting it going. Cheryl Ann was saying Cookie Monster might be her next jersey if we keep him around. Eric says people always expect Kuzi to wear a Superman cape. We know he is by now. And it's true. I don't want to say he's the next Ovechkin. He's a playmaker. He's actually more similar, I hate to say, to like a Crosby. Like it's not like, or a Backstrom. He's not going to necessarily score every night, but hopefully he can set up some plays. But he does have a shot. And in a team that is desperately needing goals to go in, sometimes he's got to take the shot. And same thing.
But he's another one. Like when he's on. Yeah. And he's in good spirits and everything, man, that's infectious as well. And I have to go back. I don't know, Robbie, maybe you did you see the big helmet, the big hat?
I didn't actually see it.
Okay.
So maybe that's what
I was like, wait, you acknowledge, I was like,
I didn't really acknowledge it because I had no idea what you were talking about. All right. So
it is, you have to pull it up to see how ridiculous it is, because it has to do with the Commanders. But it's something only Kuzi could do, and it is hilarious. And I even looked at it, it was like, what the hell is he doing? But then I was like, but it's Kuzi, and he can pull this off, and it's just hilarious. So I think when he's also in a good headspace, and you see a sick goal like what he did in Calgary, that too is great. I unfortunately didn't pan over into Jersey, but that's okay.
So wait, did Kuzi wear it like pregame or any context?
No, honestly, it was after the Commanders game. Gil, do you remember the name of the player who had?
Oh, Robinson. Casey's writing in chat. They said Robinson had a huge hat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like ridiculous, and I'm like, please. And I'm thinking it's ridiculous. I'm hoping this is not going to become a fad, because it's like stupid big. But Kuzi wearing one, you just have to be like, oh my God, yes.
All right, let me go through the scoring real fast, and then because I think we'll sort of skip ahead a little bit, because I do want to get to some of the previewing the games. I do want to get to football talk at about 9:50. So TJ Oshie gets his third of the season, assist by Eric Gustafson. Ovi's 10th assist, made it 1-0 in the first. The Kuzi on his butt goal where he's like sliding around and getting it in, makes it 2-0. It was his third of the season. Oshie's 6th assist and Cookie Monster's 3rd assist. And at 12:24, Ovechkin on the power play, you know he's going to score. He scores anyway. His 11th of the season. Connor Sherry's 4th assist and Cookie Monster's 4th assist of the game. Sonny Milano is becoming indispensable very quickly on this team, which I really like that he's taking this amazing approach. Gil, what are your thoughts on him in this game real fast?
Well, you're reading my mind, Robbie. That's yet another point of discussion that we make on this recent episode. That line of Oshie, Kuznetsov, and Milano, it really seems to be clicking, and they actually, the coaching staff decided to keep them together for more than one game. And I really hope they, even with the last loss, I hope they stay together, because this team is desperately in need of some sort of chemistry developing here. And I think they finally got it. They're finally starting to turn that corner, stop playing like individuals, play more like a team. And those three being together, again, they've got some chemistry. They've got some great things going, and they need to stay together, because it just seems like they all know where each other is going to be on the ice. If you watch the replay of the Kuznetsov goal, that all starts with a nice kind of cross drop pass by Oshie at center ice to Kuznetsov, almost like a handoff to a running back in football that's just going to dance through the whole defense. And that's pretty much what that goal was.
Yeah, it's it's pretty awesome. I mean, it shows that there's a lot of life to this team, and I think if people stick with it instead of jumping on them when they're throwing out a very injured lineup, I think that they will see some great play. It's still very early in the season. I was a little disappointed about the loss that comes next, but it's kind of to be expected. We had not won in New Jersey since 2020. And we had won 8 games in a row against them in the COVID year. This team is just looking for it, and they've been on a hot streak. You give a player a natural hat trick, and Jack Hughes, it's going to be very hard to win the game, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I see Anna did just send me the giant hat, which is great that you sent it to me, because now I can put it over here and I can share it on screen. All right,
and it's Robinson, not Kuzi in it, because I couldn't quite. It kept showing like something Kuzi in 2015. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. But just this hat.
Okay, hold on. Yes, I see it now. It's pretty hilarious. Let me get my other screen share working. Make this a co-host, and yes. And then I go over here, and
I should have that like as my background, so I can like move my head, so I too can be like, if that's ridiculous.
Hold on. Oh no,
please don't become a new fashion statement.
Oh no, why did my Zoom? Hold on, I have to my Zoom turned off for a second.
So ridiculous.
There we go. And then I go like this, and people can see it right big by our sides. So yeah, it's pretty ridiculous hat for sure. So
I mean, well, and it's like I can't take him serious, like being interviewed, and I know it wasn't meant to, but like it's ridiculous. But then now just imagine Kuzi wearing this in the locker room, just being Kuzi.
Oh, nice. Cheryl Ann just on our Facebook sent me a link. Wow. This is what I love about being online, and people could just send me links. So now Cheryl Ann is sending it to me on Facebook. Hold on.
Oh, awesome. Thank you,
the
Cheryl
Koozie
Ann.
one. So you can look it up live right here. But yeah, Gil, while I look this part up, talk a little bit about this loss, and then I will paste this new link.
Yay for C4 chiming in.
Yeah.
This was Well, for one thing, hard to explain, but jeez. Yeah, it's him and Faravari. That's yeah.
Oh my God,
Only
that's just
Kuzi could pull that off.
exactly.
I love it. That's hilarious.
Anyway,
Oh, I love he's actually wearing the old school black jersey. That's not even the alternate retro. That's the real one.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy. All right, anyway. All right, go on, go.
So this was a hockey game written by Charles Dickens. It was the best of games. It was the worst of games. Caps got, let me double check. It was a pretty high amount, 38 shots on goal for this game. Only got one goal. And not to toot my own horn, but I actually kind of half jokingly, but not really, put out a scouting report on our Facebook page that said, shoot high on Vanacek. Well, there was only one guy who did that. And guess what happened with him? And he scored. It was John Carlson. He got the lone goal. Every other shot was low in Vanacek's midsection, in his glove. Just they got a high volume of shots, and they did end up getting some high danger class chances. But that number is a tad bit misleading in that the vast majority of those shots were easy pickings for Vanacek, and they were in his wheelhouse. Not to say that Vanacek's a bad goalie, but to pour cold water on, that whole discussion, he was good, just not good enough when he had to be. And the simple fact of the matter is the Caps made, for the most part, his job very easy. And where he leaked, the Devils defense picked up on it. They actually got 26 blocked shots for the game. 26. So all in all, you're looking at 54 attempts total, 54 directed shots towards the net by the Caps. And normally that would break through, but when you make the goalie's job fairly easy, you're not going to win. And the defense was a bit porous. Jack Hughes, look, he's a near generational talent, but a couple of those goals, not to denigrate his game, but a couple of those goals were kind of fluky, I want to say, a little bit, especially that ridiculous sharp angle shot. It's that one of those seeing eye shots that found the one hole just big enough right by Charlie Lindgren's neck, basically, that went in. Yeah, I don't know, just a lot of puck luck, a lot of bad things happening, a lot of bad breakdowns on our end, and a lot of not making the most of your scoring chances. Definitely outchanced the Devils, just did not do the things that were needed to make the most of them, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through the upcoming schedule just really fast for the sake of time, and then I'll just get your guys' thoughts where you can pick a game and break it down. But the first one's going to be against Vancouver. The Canucks have won their last 3 games. They were on a road swing. This game will be in Vancouver. They were able to beat Colorado 4-3, the Golden Knights 5-1, and then most recently they were able to beat the Sharks 4-3. Before that, they had lost to the Golden Knights and the LA Kings. So they're going to be a tough out. That game is on Tuesday. I believe it's a 10 o'clock game. Hold on, I just
Yeah.
All the games this week are 10 o'clock puck drop.
Oh, that makes it easy. So 10 o'clock on Tuesday. Then the next team that we're playing is the Seattle Kraken, who have been on fire lately. They actually have beat the Rangers 3-2. They beat the Kings 3-2. They beat the Sharks 8-5. They beat Golden Knights 4-2 in Vegas, and then won at Anaheim 5-4. So this game will be in Seattle. So they're a tough out. We also play them for my birthday just a week later. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go to that game. I might go to it. It's on a Friday. And because I've never seen Seattle play, and I do have a lifetime goal to try to see all the teams. And then the Calgary Flames on Saturday. It's a 10 o'clock game. The Flames, before us, they play Florida. And then they play Montreal on Thursday. The Flames have lost their last three. We just saw them when we beat them 3-0, but they also lost at Pittsburgh. And then the next game after ours, 3-2 at Carolina. And then next Monday, we're playing Edmonton. It's an 8:30 game. So we'll do a live podcast and a live watch along while we break that down. Anna, this is your last podcast of we'll call it the fall season, and then you'll be back in January with us. I'll let you give your takeaway on any one of those games you want to, and any final thoughts you have, and then I'll let Gil do the same.
Of course. I'm gonna go with that Seattle game. I don't know. They are good for some reason. I don't have as much dislike as when the Golden Knights were the new team to watch, because I don't know, there's some of the players on this team that I have a little more respect for. I think it's going to be good. I'm not expecting a win, to be honest, but I do think that it's going to push the Capitals to fine tune those lines that Gil and I had spoken about with Milano, and continue that chemistry. Maybe we'll see another player come back. I highly doubt it. But I think all the three games, I'm kind of hoping 2 for 3. Hoping. Oh wait, no, but then there's Edmonton. No, I'm still gonna go with 2 wins.
All right, 2 out of 4. Okay, that seems fair. All right,
Yeah.
Gil, I know that you'll be watching the Edmonton game, so I won't make you live watch it along with me, and hopefully we'll recap it the following week a little bit. But what are your thoughts on this 4 upcoming games, and if you want to pick a game to speak about?
I'm kind of torn. I'll pick the Calgary game because Vancouver seems like they have the same problem we do. They're trying to figure out who they are. And Boudreau took over that team and they started winning games, and then they've fallen off a cliff recently. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why. I can figure out what Calgary's problem is. They made a huge mistake in trading away
Johnny Hockey.
Johnny Hockey. Well, not trading him away, but they made some personnel moves that I think kind of added some grit, but also I don't know. Added more skill rather. I think Brady Tkachuk got traded away to Florida, and they got Jonathan Huberdeau in return. Was the crux of that deal. There's some side conditions as well, but they traded away some much needed grit for that extra skill, and it's serving them well in one sense, but Western Conference hockey is all about, who's gonna be the toughest, who's gonna last, because the trips are longer, the distance is longer between the games and the other teams, even in your own division. So if you don't have that extra bit of toughness that Tkachuk provided, yeah, I think that was kind of a mistake, and it kind of showed in that last game they played against him. So it'd be interesting if the Flames can get a little mad and say, all right, well, these guys kind of spanked us last time. We're going to give it to them back this time around. Be very interesting if they come out breathing fire with that attitude. Brady Tkachuk, pardon me, can bring that, but no Brady Tkachuk, not so much. So that I think that's going to be a very interesting game. If Calgary can bring that attitude of, hey, we're going to get you back, then that's going to be a very interesting game. Otherwise, it's a very winnable game for the Caps again.
Yeah, I hope that we're able to do some damage on this road trip. It's going to be a pivotal one. I'm hoping Oshie back in the lineup, and we could get we're kind of more used to these lines. I know there's a hiccup with the Devils game, but hopefully we can get right back on it. I think that we're a really good road team. Sometimes it takes some of those distractions away, and it's a good way for us to come together. I'm a little bummed at how late these games are. They're just hard to watch. The bright side, they're after my kids go to bed. Downside is they end at like 1 a.m. So it's both good and bad, but I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the fact that there's gonna be a live game that's basically starting at the beginning of the podcast next week, which will be an interesting. It starts at 8:30 against Edmonton. I may in fact invite some friends over to watch that game with me in person in the man cave. So we'll see how we do that. So I won't have either of you guys on next week, but I do hope that you guys all go check out the Power Play Point podcast. Anna, I hope that you have a wonderful winter break. And
Thank you.
Gil, I look forward to talking to you in a few weeks as we break down these last couple of weeks together. And I'm thankful as part of Thanksgiving, coming off of that both of you guys are a part of this show, and that you guys have been a part of this podcast network now for a couple of seasons. And I hope that people check out both shows and give you guys a lot of love. And I hope that you guys have a great time. I'm gonna move on to football, but I hope we'll talk soon.
Definitely.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for everything, Robbie, and I will see you in the new year.
Sounds good.
Bye, guys.
Bye.